everybody, and welcome to a Florida-friendly fast class. Today, we're going to talk very quickly about the care of holiday plants. Our title is "'Tis the Season, Care of Holiday Plants." I am Lily Browning. I'm the Hernando County Florida-Friendly Landscaping Program Coordinator, and I work for Hernando County Utilities. If you have any questions, if you'd like a copy of this program, or you just want to discuss something with me, my email is LillyB, Lilly, 2 L's in the middle, B, @hernandocounty.us. Let's start very quickly with the classic holiday plant that you see all over the country this time of year and available everywhere is our poinsettias. It is technically a small shrub, even can grow into a tree, growing up to 15 feet. It is native to Mexico and Central America, being named after Joel Roberts Poinsett, the first U.S. minister to Mexico in 1825. What we all love the poinsettias for are not for its flowers, which are inconspicuous, but for its colorful bracts, which are modified leaves, which surround that tiny flower cluster. Of course, we find them not just red these days, we find them pink, we find them white. But here in Florida, you don't have to give up your poinsettias, when the holiday season is over. They will grow in our landscapes. Here in Central Florida, they have a tendency to freeze if we have, a freeze event. But usually they will come back from the roots if they are established in your landscapes. They can grow very easily outdoors and be very active during the warm season. You'll want a sunny location for them and to keep that soil moist. The thing about poinsettias to remember is that the A months are important in a poinsettia's life. So if you have a poinsettia that you got, in a pot for Christmas, I would keep it inside until April. That's your first A month. And it might look pretty leggy and pretty sad at that point. So that's when you want to plant it and kind of trim it up. Let it go all summer, keep it, treat it as you would any other plant that you are establishing in your landscape. But let it do its thing. And around about August, it'll be pretty leggy again. So that's when you want to make it more compact, trim it up, and then you don't want to touch it after that so that it has the opportunity to create the beautiful red bracts that we would like to see around, the Christmas holidays. The thing about poinsettias is in general, how they get to produce those beautiful red bracts, or the white ones or the pink ones, is that they require 14 hours a day of complete darkness to set those flowers so that the bracts grow around the flowers. That means you don't want to put them under a porch light or any light from your home or a street light or something like that. As we said, they are cold sensitive, so you may want to protect them if we're going to have a freeze event. But they are pretty easy to grow, relatively pest-free. You might have some spider mites in which you would use a horticulture soap if they are a big problem. If they develop maybe in late summer some leaf spots, you might think about a fungicide for them. In general, it seems like some of the older poinsettias that we used to get in the 70s or so, they did a little better in the landscape. Some of the ones we have now are just greenhouse grown and forced to just really be a Christmas plant for you, but you already have it. Some people have a lot of success with it. So therefore, why not try it out in your yard? Let's talk about a Christmas cactus that, amazingly magic plant that seems to bloom right around Christmas time. The plant has no idea it's Christmas. It does it because of the daylight hours. That's what it's responding to. That's what's telling it to go ahead and bloom. And, around Christmas, around now, we have our, shortest amount of daylight. So that's what it's responding to. So, around the around the 21st of December or so, when we'll have a really short day, that's what's telling it, go ahead and bloom. But they're really easy to grow here in pots in Florida. Everybody seems to have one on their porch. You want to use a low, well draining soil. Think about getting one that is specifically designed to be a succulent mix, because that is really what this plant is. It's not a cactus, but it is in the cactus family. Wait until you stick your finger in the soil and it is completely dry before you want to water it. Therefore, that is a good reason to keep it on your porch, not outside in the yard, especially in the summer. It's going to get too bright of sun. It'll turn the little the little pads there, make them fade out. And that's their way of reacting to too much sun. And you don't want every single summer rain getting on them. So in hanging baskets on your porch where they're getting light, but not direct light, and not raining directly on them. So about mid-October, that plant needs 12 hours a day of darkness and some cooler temperatures if it's going to bloom. One of the reasons you may say, well, my Christmas cactus did not bloom last Christmas, maybe it was just a bit too warm. Maybe that's what happened. If it starts to get looking pretty droopy, and you will see what is happening there, then it's too dry. And as we mentioned, if it's out in the sun, not only will it get droopy and it start to fade its color, if the red leaf tips, the tips start to turn kind of red, that means it's also out in too much sun. This is a deceiving photo here. This is hanging. It is a hanging thing, and that is a different plant behind it. It's not really a little tree there. One of the other plants that's quickly becoming a Christmas classic plant, and they're very easy to grow here in Central Florida, is amaryllis. And they come in so many different colors and varieties. They look great when you plant them, a whole bunch of them together. They prefer light shade. They won't bloom in deep shade. The leaves will yellow in very bright sun. So what you're looking for is that compromise between the two, some light shade. You can plant these anytime, but the winter months are the best for them. They require well-drained soil, which most of us here in Central Florida have. You want to plant the bulb neck deep, pretty much just like any bulb. Some bulbs you want to keep kind of way up on the ground. These, though, you want to plant them neck deep, about 12 to 15 inches apart, because they will spread. Add some organic matter, some compost, to your planting medium and on top there. And you want to keep them moist, but not waterlogged until they're established. These, as many different bulb plants here in Florida, well, the few bulb plants that we can plant, your very large lover grasshoppers, this is their favorite thing to eat. So you might want to keep an eye out for them when they are small and gather together in groups and they are black with a red stripe. Sweep those off into a bucket of soapy water or a cup of soapy water to get control over that issue. Here's another holiday plant that is very hard to resist in the store when you see it, because it is so adorable. This little cute Christmas tree looking Norfolk Island pine. But there's a couple of issues with this. One thing, look at the hardiness zone, where a Norfolk Island pine is going to do well. It's a native to Norfolk Island in Australia. It has nothing to do with, our Norfolk in Virginia. So keep that in mind, and its hardiness zone is 10A through 11. That is more like Miami and the Keys. It can't tolerate temps below 35 degrees. In Australia, New Zealand, the Pacific Islands there, they can grow up to 200 feet tall and about 10 feet wide. Here, they're not going to grow that tall, but they're going to grow very tall, about 80, 90, maybe 100 feet, if they don't succumb to a freeze. And they will not bush out to that 10 feet. They will stay very telephone pole looking. And they are also very, 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 very weak in storms. So these are, as cute as they are, they're not a great idea for a landscape plant. Even if you are in South Florida, because of the rate that they will grow way above the rest of the tree line and they won't look near as good as they do in New Zealand and Australia and the Pacific Islands. And they would become very weak in storms here. So what I would suggest, if you just have to have one because they're so cute, or you already have one, keep putting it in pots and enjoying it on your porch or as a house plant until it outgrows that space. And then, I just have to dispose of it at that point. Some people do plant them, but I'm going to let you know they are weak in storms. I don't find them particularly attractive. Maybe some people like the quirkiness of, what they're going to look like as adults, but they're also going to be extraordinarily tall, and they have a shallow root system, which can interfere with patios, decks, even your home. They are one of the oldest plants around. They're from the prehistoric family of conifers, and they were created around the Jurassic, or they came to be around the Jurassic and Cretaceous time periods. So they've been here a long time, but they're not perfect for your landscape. See, this is what's going to happen in Florida, way above even this oak tree line. You have this, odd looking tree poking up there. This one actually doesn't look too bad, but it doesn't, where it is from in its native regions, it just gets a lot bigger, and they probably don't put them in their landscapes either. They save them for parks or for more wild areas. This is generally what it's going to end up looking like in a house. And yeah, it has those large surface roots, which could break up the sidewalk, the driveway, the home here. And, they just end up becoming a problem in the long run. As I said, keep it in a pot if you must have one. They do need lots of sun, but see here, they're using it as a decoration. They're using a pot-in-pot method. They just put the pot of the Norfolk Island pine inside this, pretty whiskey barrel, put a bow on it, put some lights on it. You can have it for something like that. Just remember, in general, it's going to need lots of sun. I don't know if it would get that on that porch, when the holidays are over. Prune off the dead branches and tip prune often to be able to keep it in your pot and regulate how fast it's going to grow. You might get to keep it for, several years before it gets out of control. Keep that one central leader, one trunk on it. If there's another one that's trying to become a leader too, prune it off when it's small. This thing is, these do not like lots of water. So again, don't keep them waterlogged, but this is going to be a short-term house plant, porch plant for you to enjoy. And then putting it in somebody's landscape is not a great idea. Here's an idea that you can have that is a very sustainable idea for if you're thinking about getting a Christmas tree. A lot of people want a live Christmas tree, but may suffer with that guilt that they're going to go chop a tree down and then, have to dispose of the tree. There are many different ways you can do that, compost them or recycle them. And they are grown in a sustainable way. They are a renewable resource. But one thing that you can do, and I have done several times, is buy not a live tree, but what they call a living Christmas tree, which means you purchase it in the pot. You don't cut it down, you purchase the tree in the pot and keep it. And that's your Christmas tree in the pot. Since it's been out in a field in bright sun, what you want to do is acclimatize it by keeping it out, like maybe in your front yard for a few days. Bring it on the front porch for a day or so before you bring it in. So it doesn't go from bright light to not much light in your home. When it's time to take it outside, you do that same thing in reverse. Put it on the porch for a couple of days, put it out in the yard for 3 or 4 days before you decide to plant it. There we have information about how to plant any plant. You don't want to plant it too deeply. That's one of the main things. So you want to dig the hole twice as wide, but not deeper than that root ball. You want the root ball on top of the soil, maybe even an inch or two. Don't mulch over that root ball for several months at least, and you do have to keep it watered until it's established. But that is a great way to have a Christmas tree planted in your yard. Keep it as, put it somewhere else as a memorial. And there are even some tree farms I have heard of now that will let you take it back to the tree farm. And therefore, you know, if you don't have room in your yard anymore, and you just keep repeating that every year, like you're renting that living Christmas tree. Something you can think of if, you know, you're really rethinking the Norfolk Island pine trees. Here's another cute thing that they do with these rosemary trees. They shape them into looking like these Christmas trees. This is a great thing to do in a small area. If you're in an RV or a tiny house or some small space, it's going to smell wonderful. Now, of course, this rosemary after the holiday season is not going to maintain the shape of this fir tree here, but they are, you know, very Florida friendly plants to plant in your yard. It's not going to take up near as much space as a tree. You can keep it in a pot if you want, and keep gradually getting bigger pots as it grows. But you can plant rosemary outside here in well-drained soil. It's going to have to require water to be established, but once it is, it doesn't require too much water. Great thing to have like near the front door just because it smells so wonderful. Florida has a numerous amount of hollies, and have a holly jolly Christmas. We always associate hollies with Christmas. Many of our hollies are native, some of them aren't. All of them do well. I don't know of a holly that doesn't do well here in Central Florida. You can use them for hedges or accent plants. They're going to attract birds for the berries. But just remember, if you have a holly and you're wondering, why don't I ever get these beautiful red berries? It could be because it is male, and that's why it's not producing berries for you. They are dioecious trees, meaning they are strictly male and female. Some other trees are monoecious, meaning they are male and female and self-pollinate. Hollies are not like that. They need, they need both around. So it could be a female tree that has no males around, so there's no pollen around, so it's not producing berries. So that's just one thing, you have to look for, that you have a female tree and that, there are some male trees around to help produce these nice berries. Here are just some ideas for decorating, using some of our natural flora and fauna that you can go around and collect and, create, wonderful little decorative items in your home. So deck the halls with boughs of southern red cedar, magnolia, any of those hollies that we mentioned, even some juniper, coontie. Make some cute Christmas arrangements. Simpson stopper, another great hedge, wax myrtle, and even our various ferns. Here, most of the things I'm mentioning here are native plants. A lot of the junipers aren't. Southern red cedar is in the juniper family, but still, these are great things to think about to bring in the natural world into your home. Here's some other ideas here. Think about dried plant material, seed pods, even those sweet gum that you don't like to step on, but they could make some, great decorations. Sweet gum seed pods, crepe myrtle seed pods. There are crepe myrtles are starting to lose their leaves. You may still have those black, flower pods on them. Cut them off, add them to an arrangement. Also look out for vines, various vines. We've got these great palmettos that make great backdrops to any kind of arrangements. And any kind of weeds out there, maybe avoid some invasive exotics because moving them around could be an issue, or just make sure you throw them away with the kitchen trash. We've got fantastic pine cones here in Florida, small ones, big ones. I just met up with some northern family for Thanksgiving. We met halfway in Tennessee, and what one of them wanted me to bring was about 20 large pine cones. They don't have them up there. My yard is filled with them. I'm eager to see what she's going to do with them. For color, you can, citrus that just speaks Florida, or different types of fruit. Coral honeysuckle to, weave into a wreath. Turk's cap, the nice pop of red color. Again, your Christmas cactus, your poinsettias, of course, and various berries. There are just so many different ideas you can go on the internet to find, or even at some of these from the University of Florida, have a more Florida Christmas. Thank you very much for listening to our holiday version of a Florida Friendly Fast class. You can find more information and more classes and longer classes on our Facebook page, Hernando FFL program on Facebook. From Hernando County Government YouTube, we have lots and lots of classes on Hernando County Government YouTube. We are also on Twitter and Instagram. Again, my email, if you have any questions for me, is LillyB, LILLYB, @hernandocounty.us. And thank you, and have a Florida friendly holiday season.